Over the last 30 plus years, Acura has certainly been facing an up and down battle with their brand image here in America. What was originally supposed to be the performance division at Honda was quickly interpreted as the luxury division due to other Japanese competitors like Lexus and Infiniti. However, Acura is determined to remind everybody that they are Honda's performance division, and this week I'm testing a vehicle that's exactly designed to do so. This is the refreshed 2019 Acura NSX Supercar. It took the company about 15 years to finally come up with a successor when the original model was plucked from the lineup back in 2002. So the big question I want answered, is the refreshed NSX still able to compete with the best supercars from Europe? That's what we're here to find out. So if you guys remember the first generation NSX, it is widely known as a classic Japanese sports car. Its design was so well received back then, it's aged extremely well that even today, the old one still looks pretty fresh. Now this new generation, when it came out 3 years ago, definitely had a lot of people that really either loved it or wasn't really sure about the design of this car. I was one of the people that actually really liked the overall design, and for 2019, Acura has made literally the slightest of refreshes to the front fascia. The one thing that you're going to notice instantly is this. The Acura Shield grille has now been painted to match the exterior color of the car. My tester here is known as Curva Red. It's the free color. There's also another red called Valencia Red that's $6,000 extra because it takes Acura 5 days to paint the damn thing. But overall, I think that small change to the front fascia where the grille has been painted definitely looks good. I'm glad that Acura hasn't grafted their diamond pentagon grille. I just don't think it would look good on the NSX. And I think the car continues to look sexy. It continues to basically evoke a lot of stares from everywhere you take it. You've got the Acura dual eye LED headlights as standard. You have LED running lights and the LED turn signal. No fog lights. Instead, you have all these aerodynamic scoops, which are functional. Of course, it's going to help aid with cooling of this vehicle. Remember, it's a supercar. It needs to have all the cooling. The one thing you are missing from the NSX is any kind of active aero. Some cars offer like a little spoiler that comes down or any kind of adjustable wings and whatnot. The NSX doesn't have any of that, so just keep that in mind. I'm surprised that Acura didn't want to do with some of those features to kind of make this thing even more exotic. Now you can see the hood vents here are functional, but the engine is mounted out back. It's a mid-mounted engine just like the previous generation model. Now, unlike the first generation model, this is significantly lower and wider. It's about 5 inches wider than the previous first generation model, but it's actually not that big, although the NSX definitely has a big presence to it. Its wheelbase at 103.5 inches long, at an overall length of 176 inches long. This is about the same size as like a Porsche 911, an Audi R8, a Mercedes AMG GTC or GTR or whatever you'd like to call it. It's definitely a very nicely proportioned supercar. I like a couple of elements here, like the wheels. Like these are the standard wheels that you get. They're the Y-spoke wheels. It's a 19-inch wheel, and then it's a 20 in the back. So these are 245s in the front, and then fatter 305s in the back. My tester has the optional carbon ceramic brakes for $10,000 with the red painted calipers. I'm not entirely sure you really need that option. I would probably just go with the iron brakes and save myself 10 grand. You can also have those calipers painted orange if you'd prefer. That's a new option package for 2019. Now, a couple of other things. I like the design of the side mirrors here. Unlike most supercars, they actually are a pretty good size. They have an integrated turn signal. Blind spot monitoring is still frustratingly missing on the NSX. I think that Acura should consider adding that, considering the fact that you do have some pretty big blind spots. I like the black painted roof. There's this very large functional air intake over here to help feed air into that mid-mounted V6. And then of course you have the same bright red caliper with the carbon ceramic rotor at the back when you guys specified that option package. Now my tester is pretty light on the options. It's missing like a full ground effects carbon fiber package for $10,000. Instead, you pay $3,000 extra for this carbon fiber rear lip spoiler, which is genuine carbon fiber, but I think it's a little pricey. It does make the car look considerably more aggressive I just think that for $3 grand, it's a little too expensive for just this little piece of carbon fiber. At the back, you have the same tail lights. They haven't really changed. They kind of have a full length LED. They're LED turn signals, LED taillights, and then an LED reverse light. And then down here is the exhaust system for the NSX. It's actually just a little piece that's part of the bumper, and then there's 4 mufflers behind that, but it's a supercar, so I'll let you guys hear what it sounds like real quick. And because the NSX is a hybrid, it's a 3-motor hybrid system, it doesn't have that traditional supercar starter noise. Once you actually get the revs up, it sounds good. I just think that it needs to be louder. Honda and Acura, they need to do something about that exhaust. I want to hear some cracks and some pops. Now, there are some functional intakes or vents back here as well, along with this rear diffuser. It definitely looks aggressive. Some of you may think that it needs the carbon fiber accessory package for like another 10 grand. It would make this car look even more aggressive if you guys decided to add that. Now, being a mid-mounted engine, this is where the trunk is going to be as well. Now, the trunk is pretty puny on the NSX. This is like smaller than a Miata. It's rated at 4.4 cubic feet of space. A Miata roughly has about 1 cubic feet more. Or if you look at something like a Porsche 911 where it has 2 trunks and a back seat, this is where the NSX is definitely going to be a little bit behind the times. If you want to actually take this on a long trip with your significant other, you're going to have to pack light. Now, of course, underneath here, all this plastic covering, which you can option in carbon fiber if you'd like for $3,600, which is a total ripoff for just some carbon fiber covers. This is the hand-assembled 3.5 liter direct injection V6. It doesn't have their V technology, but it's a mid-mounted engine. It's mounted longitudinally as well. It's a unique engine specifically built for the NSX. On its own, this 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 makes 500 horsepower and 406 foot-pounds of torque. When you add in the combined output of the 3 electric motors, this only powers the rear wheels, 2 electric motors power the front, and then one also powers the rear where it kind of combines and blends the two. Total output is 573 horsepower and 476 foot-pounds of torque. Now, those numbers are still impressive, but I have to say, in a world where we have like 808 horsepower Challenger SRT Hellcat Red Eyes and 800 horsepower Ferraris, a Type R is needed. This thing should be making over 600 horsepower. So Acura, hurry up and give us a Type R version, please. Now, it all goes out through a 9-speed dual clutch transmission. That manual transmission from the first generation is gone. It's been gone for a while. And because of all the hybrid batteries and whatnot, this vehicle is a lot heavier than the first generation. As this one sits, it's around 3,800 pounds, a full 700 pounds heavier than the first generation model. Now, granted, this has significantly more power. Acura says 0 to 60 times should be around 3 seconds. It'll hit a top speed of around 190 plus miles an hour. And fuel economy, in case you're wondering, that's where the hybrid system actually makes this better. It's rated at 22 in the city, 21 on the highway. So that's about 5 mpg better than what you're going to get in something like a Porsche 911 GT3 or an Audi R8 with its naturally aspirated V10. But I'd argue those vehicles definitely sound better. But you all are probably wondering, this is a supercar, so let's get out on the road and see how it performs. So obviously the NSX has all the supercar looks on the outside, but you're going to be spending a good deal of your time on the interior. So let's check that out of the refreshed NSX. Now, first things first, here is the current key fob that you get on an NSX. Their intelligent access key with push button start is standard. Your only indication that this is an NSX is this little badge here on this lower part of the key that comes out. So I kind of wish that Acura gave us a more unique key fob for the NSX versus the part sharing that you get on a TLX or an MDX. But with their push button intelligent access key, as you approach the door handle of the NSX, you can see that door handle pops out. Now, that only pops out if the vehicle is locked and you've walked away from the vehicle. It has a sensor on the back of this door handle here, so as soon as you touch it, the doors will unlock, and if you want to lock it, just push that button over here. You can see that will automatically push this handle back in. And if it doesn't pop out, you have to stick your hand in there and then open the door manually as opposed to it popping out. Now, looking at the inside of my tester, it looks great with this beige interior with the Curva red exterior color. This is actually the standard interior color, if you can believe it. This is the semi-aniline leather interior. Acura offers an upgraded interior if you'd like for a couple $1,000s. Basically, the difference is the roof panel is just of a woven material instead of the Alcantara, but there's a lot of part sharing in here. You can see switchgear from other Acura products, which is understandable. I mean, this is still an Acura supercar, supercar, you know, they've got to share some parts here to help keep the cost down. But the door sill here you can see is pretty wide. This is a low vehicle at only 3.8 inches of ground clearance. So getting in this car, if you guys don't really like to have to fall into the ground, you're not going to want a supercar in your life, basically. But getting inside, I'm 5'7", and this roof right here, good thing they've stitched this in leather, because I've hit my head on it a couple times, which is definitely not fun. But once you settle in here, you can see the NSX still has very good visibility. This is something that the previous generation was known for, and it's also very comfortable, and I find it to be very roomy. There's a good amount of space in here to spread out, although this console here is very wide. Now, shutting the door, it sounds very solid, surprisingly. Well, actually not surprisingly. This is the company's Halo vehicle, so like the fact that it sounds very solid. It's a very heavy feeling door as well. And then when you want to start the vehicle up, remember this is a hybrid. Put your foot on the brake and push this button here to fire up the engine. And because it's a hybrid, there's no traditional starter hiccup noise. Instead, the engine just purrs to life. And it always defaults to quiet mode, which really pisses me off. I would like this thing to default to like Sport Plus mode. If I'd want to set it to that. If you want, you have to go to the dynamic drive mode selector here and cycle that over to Sport. And now you can hear the engine has a little bit more of a growl to it. When you rev it up, the engine has that nice supercar, you know, feel where it revs very quickly, but there's no crackles or pops from the exhaust. Come on, Acura, this is a supercar. I want more bark from the exhaust. There should be a hotter Type R version, hopefully. Hopefully they're considering that to give us a little bit more of a bark from the exhaust. The rest of this interior, again, has a typical Acura design theme here. The large center stack, you've got a 7-inch touchscreen over here with the Acura Link Infotainment System. You have real leather stitching on the actual dashboard. There's some Alcantara, there's some real aluminum trim. The glove compartment you can hear is stitched with some Alcantara. It's also a pretty good size, at least for supercar standards. It's damped and it's lined with felt. The door panels you can see here are also covered in leather, which is nice. You have some aluminum trim, 2-person memory seat, power windows up and one touch up and down for the driver and passenger, a good grab handle over here, and storage, even maybe no storage down here in the lower portion, but it's all stitched in leather. You have a couple of buttons here. There's 2 unused buttons there, which kind of annoys me. The steering wheel you can see is manual tilt telescoping. At this price point, it would be nice to see power, but it probably helps save weight and cut costs that it's only a manual. The steering wheel itself is slightly unique to the NSX. You have this typical Acura TLX MDX switchgear here, but it's a nice flat bottom on the top. Actually, it's flat bottom on the bottom and on the top, and it also feels really good with the 9 and 3 grips. You have some metal paddle shifters which are mounted to the wheel. Kind of wish they were mounted to the column so they didn't move around with the wheel. The center stack, you can see, this is the same 7-inch infotainment system that you get on a Honda Civic, which is kind of very disappointing. Doesn't even use the newer system that you get in the Accord, for example, but you can see it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Acura actually made the technology package a standard for 2019, so before you had to pay $3,000 extra to get the navigation with the ELS sound system. It's a 9-speaker sound system, which sounds pretty good considering the fact that the V6 doesn't always make the most pleasant noises when you go back to its normal mode. It just goes back into the quiet operation where this thing's like a Prius, for example. The navigation system, very disappointing in the fact that this is the same Garmin navigation system that you get in the Civic. At least the icon there is actually an NSX, although I wish it was red. I wish it was color coordinated to the car that you actually get. When you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see standard backup camera with trajectory, 3 views. It's got parking sensors, but the image resolution quality is very disappointing, especially considering this is their Halo vehicle. So Acura, please update this with a larger screen. The same, interface that you get in the RDX would be nice, or even the Accord. The Accord has the newer Honda Link Infotainment System. This is pretty old. Now down here you can see dynamic drive mode selector. It should be on the steering wheel. I like how Porsche puts it on the steering wheel here, so you can kind of get to it very easily when you're driving. I don't like having to go over here, and I found myself reaching for this as the volume knob because you still have these horrible touch sensitive panels there for the volume, which again, you could use the steering wheel controls for the volume if you'd like, but I think Acura needs to kind of rethink this. You've got dual zone climate control as standard. You have 3-level heated seats. Acura does not offer cooled seats on the NSX. There's a place right there where they could have it. Don't know why they don't offer the cooled seats. Your transmission selector is over here. It's that same push button one that you get in all the other Acura products and whatnot. So takes a little bit of getting used to. You have electronic parking brake here, some brake hold, a little bit of storage over here with some padded, more leather over here, which is nice. This cup holder here, you can see, comes out if you don't want it to eat into your space. You can actually store it in the glove compartment if you'd like. It just goes into this little slot over here. And then the back here, the center console, you can see a little bit of storage over there. Your USB, just one USB is over there. You can put your phone over there. The seats, I find them to be very comfortable and supportive. They hug you nicely in place, which is a very good thing. And then the rest of the interior, you can see a little bit of a disappointment with all the part sharing that Acura does with this car. But again, they have to do everything to a price point, and it's still very roomy. It's still very nice. It's comfortable in here. Just keep in mind that some of its competitors have a much more special feel than what Acura gives you in this current NSX. So despite the fact that the NSX has been around for 2 years, you rarely see these things on the road because Acura really doesn't sell very many of them. And I have to say, I had one of these about 1.5 years ago, as you guys know, and just driving this car again, it brings back all those memories. It's still such a cool feeling car. It turns heads everywhere you take it. And one of the selling features that Acura likes to sell is the fact that this is like a hybrid supercar. So right now it's in EV mode. I can even put it into quiet mode and it'll trickle along, like it'll coast in EV mode. But I will say that the electric motor is very mild. It will barely start out in just electric only mode. As soon as I touch the throttle, the gas engine will pretty much come on, which makes me want to just leave this thing in Sport Plus all the time, because that's the way a supercar should be. Oh my God. And you know what? Acura didn't add any more horsepower for 2019, and I was kind of complaining that they should have, but this car will still do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. It still will just shove your face back into the seat, like it shoves everything back into the seat. The car feels so fast when you have it in Sport Plus, when you have everything going. It's just so incredible how much performance Acura has packed into this, hybrid supercar. But like I said, Sport Plus is the mode you're going to want to drive in all the time. It does come with paddles with the 9-speed automatic, so let's try the paddles out real quick. Go to second there. It's downshift or it upshifted for me automatically, which kind of annoyed me. I didn't want it to do that. Now I can go into a full manual mode here. There you go. Now it shouldn't shift for me. Oh my God. Holy shit, this car is insane. Now, because the NSX is an all-wheel drive supercar that's a hybrid as well, it has a phenomenal launch control system. Now, the first time I tried this out last year, I was pretty blown away, and it's honestly really simple to activate. All you have to do is turn the dynamic mode selector here all the way to the right and hold it for like a couple seconds until it beeps. That blanks out the NSX's powertrain or the infotainment screen and puts it into the track mode. And in the track mode, it automatically turns off the stability control, and it puts everything into basically the most aggressive or least. Basically, it turns all the nannies off so you can take this thing out onto the track. It makes the NSX really, drive the way you'd want a supercar to drive. It turns off most of the nannies. So to activate the launch control at this point, you literally just put your foot on the brake hard, push the accelerator and floor it. It'll say launch ready. Oh, fuck! And that's, I forgot just how brutal that is. Oh, we gotta do that again. That feels faster than the Tesla. I could do that all day long. Holy shit, that's so fast. But, let me start breathing again. Jesus. But anyways, the NSX is not just a one-trick pony kind of car. You give it some corners, and the car grips the road like a supercar should. It's got these massive tires. Acura has tweaked the suspension, they've tweaked the tires, they've tweaked the computers to make the NSX feel more engaging, make it feel a little bit more track focused. You're not gonna notice it out on the road. This car still handles and drives like I remember it. And that's the thing, is the NSX reminds you that it's also a Honda product. You put the vehicle into its normal drive mode, sport, what Acura calls it, and it drives like a Honda Accord, honestly. I mean, it is a lot lower to the ground, obviously, than a Honda Accord, but the visibility in here is very good. You got these big side mirrors, which is what supercars tend to not have, are big side mirrors. but the ride quality is also surprisingly compliant. Now, granted, I am on this very smooth, pavement here, and I'm imagining the ride quality is going to be a lot firmer if you're going to be driving around like rural areas or just the city. So just keep that in mind. But I have to say, just driving this thing normally, the seats are comfortable, although I'm annoyed that I can't height adjust the seats. You can see out of the front well, but the back is kind of skewed. There's no driver assistance in the NSX whatsoever. I'm surprised Acura hasn't considered adding their Acura watch. I know this is a supercar. It's, not going to be selling out to the mainstream, but it's good that Acura should at least, offer it or make it a standard. I mean, at this price point, it should have all that crap as standard. So again, this is a very limited run vehicle. They barely sell any of these, honestly. I rarely see any of these on the road, which is why it turns so many heads whenever I have one of these things. It's so incredibly fun, just how just driving this thing around. It's so much fun to drive this thing around. Now I'm going to put it into its quiet mode here. We're going to do the opposite of what you'd want to do in a supercar, which is floor it. I'm going to put it into quiet mode here. I'm going to see how well I can take off in just the full-on EV mode. Because remember, this is a supercar that's a hybrid. Acura likes to say that if you don't want it to be obnoxious, it cannot be obnoxious when you just have it in its quiet mode settings. And the gas engine basically starts up almost immediately. Like, that was pathetic. Like, I barely touched the gas and it starts up almost immediately. So Acura needs to work on improving the electric motor in this car and just giving us more juice, because most of the times I just found myself doing this. I go into Sport Plus because because this is a frickin' supercar and I just want to go through the gears all the time. And you can really hear those turbos. There's like a very distinct turbo whistle noise that I love. And it's just super unexpected. And that's the thing, is this car is still too quiet for my taste. I want Acura to do a hotter version. Where the hell is a Type R version or a Type S version with like another 100 horsepower, an even louder exhaust, like a convertible version? Like, Acura, come on, you're starving the NSX. You gave it this very subtle refresh. And the car's still brilliant. It still drives impeccably well. It's still so comfortable to daily drive, albeit it's not the most practical. A Porsche 911 is far more practical than this. It still turns heads like nobody's business. It'll still, eat up a track. It'll, eat up a drag strip. Those Teslas that are next to you, you really need a P100D Model S to actually beat this thing. My Model 3 Performance, I'm pretty sure, is no match for this car, even though off the line I want to say that they're almost even, but this car is just so fast, so good. And even in its Sport Plus setting right now, the ride quality is not, terribly, harsh. It's like firm, but my back's not like breaking. Maybe I'm just used to all these firm riding cars. I don't know. This feels kind of like my Porsche Cayman. My 718 Cayman kind of feels a little similar to this in terms of the ride quality in its sport setting. Again, you put it into sport and the engine shuts off. What the fuck? That's so weird. I just wanted to have a beefier electric motor. Like, give me the kind of straight line speed that I experience in a Tesla without the damn gas engine coming on. I mean, sure, the gas engine's lovely, but it doesn't sound all that special from time to time. You really have to get on the engine past 4,000 RPM for the engine to start sounding special. Again, there it's running there, it's running there. It's still EV mode. I'm still in EV mode. Holy crap, it's still in EV mode right now. Up to 22, 24, 25 miles an hour. There we go, 28 miles an hour, the gas engine kicks on. So again, the NSX will trickle along in electric only mode, but you literally have to tap the accelerator like that much, and that annoys me. Because in a supercar, you don't want to drive that slowly, especially one that looks like this. So NSX, still a crazy, crazy good supercar, impeccable value if you guys are looking for a hybrid hypercar. Waiting for a Type R version, waiting for a hotter version, waiting for a convertible. Acura just needs to start adding more variants of this car. The changes they made for 2019 are so subtle, most people are not going to notice it aside from just the slightly changed front fascia with that body-colored grille now. And just because we can, we're going to do one more launch control. Oh my God, the G-forces. I'm seriously not faking it. Oh, my neck, Jesus. So when Acura introduced the second generation NSX 3 years ago, it got a lot of mixed reviews from the automotive press. Some either really liked the car, they thought it was a modern interpretation of what the new NSX should be, while some people also thought it was an abomination because it didn't follow the original formula for the first gen model, which included a lightweight body, a high revving V6 engine, and of course a manual transmission. Now of course, supercars needed to change throughout the years, and I fall into the camp of liking the new generation NSX because Acura really added a healthy dosage of speed. This is just significantly faster than the first generation model with a 0 to 60 time of 3 seconds. As you guys saw, the launch control is an absolute riot. It now makes the NSX able to keep up and surpass all those damn electric Teslas that are showing off, that are shown off on YouTube as being able to smoke a lot of supercars from 5-10 years ago. So the NSX, as you saw, is now quicker and honestly one of the quickest supercars you can buy, especially when you look at the price point. Now, of course, there are a couple of quibbles with this generation. I really wish that Acura had added more power for this 2019 refresh. They did such a subtle tweak that you're really not going to notice it. I want to see them introduce a convertible version because with a vehicle like this, people want to be able to put the top down, and a hotter Type R version. In a world with 700, 800 horsepower supercars, 573 seems a little bit light. So Acura needs to do something where it has an extra 100 horsepower, maybe even improve the 0 to 60 time by another half second. Now, with all that said, what's it going to cost to put an NSX if you're in your driveway, if you're actually looking to buy one of these? Now, the Acura NSX is a really slow seller. They only moved about 170 total units in all of 2018. 170, that's it. Now in 2017, they moved about 581 units. So this is a very slow seller for Acura, and it makes me sad. I think the price may have a reason to do with that. Now it is priced relatively competitively. This car starts at $157,600. Now that price is probably $50,000 more than where a lot of you were thinking this car would start out, but you have to account in for inflation because the 2002 NSX was like 90 grand, which in today's money is probably like over $150,000. Now my tester is pretty light on the options. It's got $10,000 for the brakes, $3,000 for the spoiler, and then $500 for satellite radio. It stickers in for around $173,000 with the $1,800 destination chargers. Honestly, it's priced well considering this is a 3-motor hybrid supercar. If you're going to compare it to like a LaFerrari or a Porsche 981, this car is roughly a fraction of the price. Like those cars were $1 million+ if you could even find one of these. Now, where the NSX sits in terms of the price point, you could look at something like an Audi R8, which is $170,000. A Porsche 911 and a Mercedes-AMG GT are probably this car's direct competitors, and they're around $113,000. You could also compare it to a BMW i8, which I think is ugly. It's considerably slower, and it's around $150,000. So I would easily get the NSX over a BMW i8, but my quibble is I might end up getting a Mercedes-AMG GT-R or a Porsche 911 or even an Audi R8 instead, because I just feel like those vehicles are a little bit more exotic. Acura needs to do something to tweak the NSX to make it feel more exotic, and honestly, the interior is probably the worst aspect of this car. So even though the NSX is expensive, it definitely has the chops to keep up with the other European and Japanese entries in the segment because Acura has added a healthy dosage of performance, and it also looks the part on the outside. The interior just needs a couple of tweaks to make this thing feel a little bit more special. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2019 Acura NSX supercar. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.